Hey everybody, welcome to a brand new episode of Building a POS. So basically what we're going to do is we have decided we are going to start something completely new, something completely different. We are going to continue with the Filemaker series. What we're looking to do is we're looking to create something that I talk to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of business owners globally, and I help them with their projects. And if I can, and sometimes it's a lot because there is a lot involved in it. But what I want to do today is I want to convince you. That's my biggest thing today. Today I want to convince you to take that step, to start saving tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands. Today's marketplace, business place, as a small business owner, is really, really, really hard because you're not only paying the bank for depositing your own dang money. You're also paying someone to collect your money via a system that where you can run credit cards and debit cards and things of that nature. And hopefully that's changing. I am crossing my fingers that that's changing. But one of our worst problems is that we end up with a point of sale or a digital register system that we have no control over, or what control we do have is very, very limited, and we have to pay someone to put product in, to take product out, to change things, to make changes that we want, to add to it, to subtract to it, to whatever we want to. And in theory, it's a good idea because you pay a great deal of money and you get a great deal from those people. However, with this Filemaker Pro Advanced, which is the program that I have, it's a one-time cost. You pay for it once and you can use it forever and ever and ever. And it works great if you have multiple locations, or it works great if you have one location and multiple registers inside of that location. Today what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to start. Where do I start to do this? And so the very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go in and we're going to start with a brand spanking new solution. And we're just going to call this, my solution. I think that's probably the best thing that you could name it at this time. Unless you have something else in mind, like the name of your store. I want you to understand also that this is going to take a while. This is going to take you a couple of months to actually get. Hold on just a minute. Let me pop this chat out just in case somebody. I normally don't have questions in the beginning, but if I do have questions in the beginning, I'd like to be able to answer those. So I'm going to go ahead and pop that chat out in case you guys want to say something to me. And that way it's kind of in my view and I can see what you guys are saying. So the very first thing we have is we have nothing. We have absolutely nothing that we can deal with other than this blank page. Mine is very particular in the sense that I already have this line that is set up for me because I use the iPad, the little iPad mini thing. So it's about, yay big. I'll show it to you guys later in the show today, but I've basically figured out what size that I need to have. So if we come over here and we look at this, my size is actually set up at Yoshimitsu, how the heck are you? It's so good to see you. My size is basically set up at 1275 by 701. And that means this orange line that you see, that's the orange line for that size. So if you don't have the orange line, or you've went to one of these desktop things or an iPhone thing or an iPad thing, erase it, select custom size, type in 1275 by 701, and that will give you this line. And you kind of need it right now, right in the very beginning. So go ahead and do that quick and make sure that we get that. You can pause the video if you need to. From here, what we're going to do is we need to go in and we need to start managing our database. So we're going to start really, really, really simple. Our very first database is called My Solution, or our very first table is called My Solution. You can use it or you can not use it. I like to use it for a template, basically, a template model, should I need to. So other than that, I will leave it completely alone. I don't know why. That's like one of the biggest problems. It's not one of the biggest problems, but it is one of the problems that occurs with Filemaker. And you guys will find through this series that there's a lot of glitchy things. There's a lot of things that glitch and a lot of things that happen. And a lot of times you can lose information. But if you listen to me, I swear, put your hand on the Bible, gospel coming from me. If you listen to me and if you build your solution like I build my solution, I've been using mine for over 3 years, my final solution for over 3 years. I've used FileMaker for years and years, and I've found a lot of what's wrong with it. Why? Because I just went out and started doing it. So it all depends on the beginning. It very much does, Yoshimitsu. It very much does. It's all about how you start it, because that is a huge portion of the rest of your thing. So it's a foundation. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to type in, in ours, we're going to have a menu page, a basic menu page, something that people can touch buttons and sell products with. So we're going to call this one menu, and we will create it by pressing the enter button. And now we have an opportunity to make more of these. So I'm going to just create a back office and add admin. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create 2 of them that we will actually marry together. And don't worry, this is not all. This is just the beginning. We're just starting with the very beginning of it, right? So one thing that I'm going to create quick is I'm going to create something called a register, and we'll create that. And then the next thing that we'll create is called an invoice, and we will create that. Now the register and the invoice need to be married to each other. They have to be married to each other so that you can utilize both of them. So if we double click on the invoice, right now you see we have no files, nothing in there. It's 0 because what it does is it brings us over here to fields and relationships. And so the very first thing that we're going to need to put in here is an IDFK. Or if you want to, you can say a register link. It works very well for me. Register link. And it will be a number. And we're going to go ahead and create it. And then on the register link, it doesn't have to have a number. It doesn't have to do anything. It just has to be a number. So now if we go back to our tables, or we come over here and we drop down and we go to register, what we're going to do is we're going to create an ID. ID. Simple, easy, painless. And we'll create that. And then we're going to double click on it because we want it to do something. And that ID on creation, we want it to be a serial number. Automatically enter the data as followed. Date. I don't want a date. Serial number. Okay, so we'll just do a serial number, and we can start on 1 and go with increments up 1. That works just fine. Calculate value, if you look at value, it doesn't matter. Okay, so we are good to go with that. Now, if we go into our relationships, you'll see that we have no relationships. The very first thing that we want to do is we want to start realizing these things. Now, you can change the color of them if you want to by just going down to this little box, and you can select a color that best fits your mood for that day. I like my back office and my admin. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put them bad boys over here. I like those to be shades of green. A lighter green, a darker green. Now we have the register and we have the invoice. These two need to be married to each other. And the reason why, Craft Killer, it is so good to see you. I'm so glad that you are here. So The reason why we need to marry these is because we're going to use a part of the register and a part of the invoice, and we're going to put them both together on an invoicing page. And so being able to do this, or having the ability to do this, let's put it that way, gives us the ability to create a register that is fluid, that can grow with us. And you'll see that in future videos. But for now, what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and color these kind of an orange color. And the next one, kind of a orange-er color, a darker color, so that I know that these are in some way, shape, or form related to each other. Now, how do we relate them? It's pretty simple. We're going to go over, we'll click on the ID part, and you'll see it lights up in blue. Now, if we grab this, if we hold the left-click mouse button, if we just hold it, we could drag it over here until we see that light up, and then now they're linked. And if we double-click on this little equal sign in the middle, what that tells us is now that this gives us the opportunity to figure out how do we want these things to relate to each other. Do we want to allow the creation of records via this relationship? Well, sure we do. Do we want them to delete records? Well, I don't know if we really want to go into deleting records, because these are invoices. These are things that we really need to keep track of. We don't want someone to accidentally erase one, right? So on the register side, we'll allow it to create records. And on the invoice side, we'll also allow it to create records. And we'll go ahead and say, OK. Now, you don't necessarily have to create and or delete records, I mean, you can create records all day long. You don't necessarily need to delete records, because one of the things that I've found that works really super well is in your listing of invoices, if someone made an error on an invoice, you can add a little footnote saying dismissed or incorrect, or please delete, or whatever, or error code, or whatever you want to. So you can identify those specific records and move them into a different file if you want to. So that you have, because one of the things you're going to need is you're going to need those records, like every single one of them, right? So it's going to have to be exactly correct. So let's go back to the fields and let's look at the register. So in the register, what different things would you need to think of being in the register? So one of the things that we probably are going to want is the creation of a serial number or an invoice invoice ID or something of that nature. And so we want to be able to create a plethora of different records, and I will show you guys how to do that. So in our file, what we're going to do is, and we're going to have a lot of these, by the way. So I think for trying not to confuse everybody, I think the best possibility here is to just start with the absolute basics, and then we'll move forward from there. So let's go back to our menu. What do we need in our menu? Do we need an ID in our menu? Absolutely not. We do not need an ID in our menu, because our menu is not going to create any records. We're going to create any records at all. We do, however, need a date, because I like to watch. I like to see the date, right? So we are going to look for a date, and we're going to want that to be a date. So we can have a date, a time stamp. We're just going to press date, and we're going to create it. We'll double click it so that we can say, is it a date on creation, modification? Well, it's definitely a date on any sort of a modification. That way it will constantly do it. It will constantly update that because no matter what, modification basically means if you had a field and you typed in E and you were trying to type in the word error, and you typed in word, or E, a single letter, you just modified it. If you type in the R, you modified it again. If you typed in the other R, you modified it again. So any modification. So that works really super well for that on our menu page. Another really cool thing that we're going to need is we're going to need on our menu page, we're going to need probably a few interesting things that you guys will say, what in the heck is that all about? So just follow me and we'll go through these really super fast. So we are going to need a security box, and that will be a number, so we'll just Control N. We are going to need a quantity box, and that will also be a number. And then we do need a, what's the word I'm looking for? We need an invoice lock. Okay, so we're going to call this an invoice safe. That's what we'll call it. Okay, but mark it slow, please. I will need to see how it works. Okay. Perfect, Yoshimitsu. Great. You will see how it works. Okay. So we're going to need an invoice lock. We're going to need a way to lock that invoice number so that we're always making sure that we're on the right invoice at all times, right? So if you go to your invoice and then and your customer says, "Oh wait, I wanted a box of Skittles as well, or a box of whatever, or a soda pop," you can add that to your invoice and you don't have to worry about messing with it. You'll always be on the same invoice as long as you're on the same register. So let's just type in the invoice lock. I have at times called it invoice safe or whatever, and that works just fine and dandy as well. So now that we have an invoice lock, we do need one more serious box. And that box, what we do with that is it's a product identifier. So it's a way of taking a product code, putting it on the page secretly so that we know what it is. It works with our script. That's kind of a thing that we need to do. So what we'll do is we'll put in a product code box, but let's just call it product code so that we know what we're doing. Product code. And the product code is also a number. It doesn't need to be anything else on this particular page. And we'll go ahead and create that as you guys see it. So now we have our date that will change every single time anything ever happens to that page. So after every button that you push, it will automatically update that date. We don't necessarily need the time, but you can put the time in there if you want to so that it will change at all the time. But I just like having the date. The date's pretty good. We'll do the security box in case you ever need to go anywhere from there. We'll do the quantity box, which gives you, so it appears for the user like an error. Yes, it can appear for the user much like an error, as Yoshimitsu is saying. If you guys can't see the live chat, it is because it is over there. It's hidden. You guys can't see it. The invoice lock and the product code. At the current, I can't think of anything else that you might want on your basic menu page, but if we do think of something, then we will have it. So it's very easy to add things, and that's kind of one of the things I want to really center my attention around with this particular episode as well. What happens when you need to make a change, and how do you make that change, and how do you build a POS system that is so unbelievably functional that it works amazingly, right? Amazingly. So you're gonna find that we're not gonna write a lot of script and we're not gonna put a lot of things together until we get building everything. And once we start building it, we can start tying it together with scripts. We can start making Windows more and more usable. But it'll take you about 3 months. You get all this stuff in, and then as you start putting it together, it's amazing how it just falls into place. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for that just falls into place, and then all of a sudden you now have a usable system. And one of the good things about building your own system, I'll sell this system. If you guys want to buy it, I'll sell it to you. I'll sell you as it is completed. But does it affect the system, Yoshimitsu is asking? It does. I'm not sure what system that you're talking about, but the FileMaker program will be completely safe for you, so you don't have to worry. It it will never change completely, so you don't ever have to worry about that. So we'll get into that as we go through, obviously. But so we've now got our product code. I think we're good to go. So the very first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to create a layout. So let's do a new layout. And we're going to use not my solution, but we're going to use the menu. And we're just going to call this, I think let's do this. Let's do the template first, because we love to build templates, right? Template. And you can do underscore if you really want to. You can do menu. And we're going to say, let's just do it for the computer. And it's going to be a form view. And we will finish that. And now we have this. Wait, did something change? No, nothing changed, did it? It's exactly the same as it was before. However, you'll now see up in this far corner, you'll see it says template menu, and it's on the table menu. So this is a critical juncture. This is a critical juncture. We need to now figure out, do we want to create the theme? Do we want to create our very own theme? Let's say you want the top space to be black, dark, and murky, and you want this middle space to be orange and blustery, and you want the bottom space to be just like soupy green color because that's your store. That's how your store works, right? But let's say you don't want all that. Let's say but you want it to be pretty, right? You want it to look nice. If you go into this little thing way up here, as you guys can see, way up here, you can see it'll say theme enlightened. If you click on the little three boxes, it'll give you a set of whatever you want to build. So you can create pretty much, there is the Aspire touch ones. I don't like the touch ones. They're big and bulky and ucky and yuck, stuff like that. There is the minimalist one, the classic ones, the condensed ones, the contrasting ones, which you could pick absolutely any of those. I like a very completed one that's very complete and that's very, very pretty. I'm a big fan of very, very pretty. I'm going to use, I believe, I'll just go ahead and use this one because I like it. Warm blue. And voila! Look what it just did. It just changed everything, right? Just changed it all. So let's go ahead and move this to our box because now you guys have it. It should it's not going to snap to the box, so you have to really visually see it. And in this one, this is a big flaw. If you grab this bottom line, if you come down here to the bottom line, which is kind of tough because my mouse is, I hate to say this, but this is not I have computer screens. I actually have 4 different computer screens. And so when I move my mouse, it needs to move a very long way. So the infinitesimal getting close doesn't work like really, really well. It's hard to get really tiny things. And in this case, it's very tiny. So as you could see, what happened? I moved that bottom one. Holy Moses. I mean, it just went crazy, right? But I can also make it really small too, like that. But it can't go 0. It won't go 0. So what I can do now is I do need that to be a little bit bigger than that. And as a matter of fact, I like them to be right around 45. So I can actually go in, if I want to, I can grab the little eye at the top. That's my inspector. And if I hit on my footer and go into the appearance of it, or the position of it, I'm sorry, you can see the size that it says in inches. Well, I'm going to click it to points because I like points. It says the height is at 34. I can create that 35 and be done with it. Just click off anywhere and I'm good to go. Now it's 35. So I'm going to grab this second line instead. And I'm going to come down here to where I believe 35 is pretty close to the bottom line. And you can tell I've been doing this for a while. I've been doing this for a while. But now we have another issue altogether. If we grab our top one and we move it, see what just happened? It threw everything off into a weird kilter. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab our header. It says 153. That's not what we want. We're just going to go ahead and make that a quick 70. I think 70 would probably work well. If you guys need more than 70, we can do that. Let's do some text. Let's put a text in here really quick. We're just going to call it, in this case, we're going to call it Luculent Media. Just because it's me and I'm Luculent Media. Tweet Media. So I have a question. So if you want to do a system point of sale and did 3 small box in the main box and it all have its own price, if I select one of them, does it appear to my system like a bill for the user? Yes, it can. You can certainly create that. So if you have a box and you press the box, you can create a system that will automatically take that data or that information, whatever information you want to, whether you do it by calculation or whether you do it direct. It'll take information and put it on an invoice or billing, a statement. And then you can also set it up to where it will automatically bill somebody, send them an email, or send them something like that. So yes, the answer to your question is yes. So now if I click off of it and then the little lines appear around it, now I can actually change it. I'm going to move my inspector over here because I need to go click these little double A's. I know this is a lot to take in, The double A's give me the ability to change the font and the size of the font. And I'm a big 48. I like the big 48s. It's a big space. One thing that I don't like to do is I don't like to take up too much space on the header. Because if you take up too much space with like a giant 150 point header, it's giant. You just taken up a huge amount of space, right? Huge amount of space. So there we are. We've already done that. Let's go back, and here we have the date box, the security box, quantity window, blah, 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 blah. Okay, we're going to click off of this. And I'm not closing any windows without telling you that I'm closing windows. We're going to click on the T, which is our text. We're going to click inside of this blue header. And if you notice, whenever you click it, it's always like down from it, right? It's always down from where you're clicking. So you click here, and then the little thing appears down here. What's up with that? Why not just click and appear right there, right? No big deal. We get it. We understand. But what we're going to do is we're going to press Control M because we want to merge a field. We want to create something that's inside of that field that never moves. And, well, of course, you can move it. And we're going to select date because that's what we want it to be, is the date. And now if you can see it's got the little dots around it. But if we click off, anywhere off of it, it will turn into little dots and a line, little dot and a line, little dot and a line. That's what we want it to be. Now we can actually change it. So we want to make this a different color. I want to make it yellow because I'm a big contrast yellow fan. I love it when it's just yellow. And I want to make it bigger so that I can read it. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to stretch it out, and I'm going to change it to margin right. Align the text to the right. And so now, if it's May 21st, it will still be in the same backline as it would be if it was December 25th. And we're going to go ahead, we're going to put this down here. It doesn't have to be bold. It doesn't have to not be bold. It can be anything that you want. If you need to add a logo, you can easily add a logo. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to say insert, and we want to insert a picture. Make sure that your logo is a PNG. Make sure that it is a PNG. And we'll just grab hold of this, and as you can see, ta-da, it just popped up in the middle of nowhere. There it is. Now, you can either put this logo inside of your header, should you want to. If you come over to your inspector box, you will see what size it is. You'll see that it's size and height, everything is in points. And we can, let's see. The other day, what I did was I changed that. Let's see what happens. So when you changed it, it changes like a lot, right? So you can put it in there if you want to, and as you can see, you can't see it. You can't see it, not even at all, because it's inside of there. It looks like yuck. So just gonna delete it, because we're deleters. We're deleters. No, we're not really deleters. I'm just kidding you. Let's do something more creative. Let's make this really pop. Let's make this really cool. I want an oval. I'm gonna create an oval. And my oval is going to be, I'm going to make it a darker tan color, a slightly darker tan color with a red ring around the outside, because that's me. We need to go into position, and we see that its height and its width are 152. That's fine with me. I love that. Let's go into its appearance. And instead of that, I'm going to add an image to it. And my image is going to be Locula Media. And instead of a tile, I want to make it fit in there. Scale to fit. Still a little bit too big. Scale to fill? Nope. Scale to fit. Still, it's a little off. It's just a little off. Can you guys see that? It's like a little bit off. I don't know why it's not letting me do it. It's kind of weird that way, isn't it? How it just doesn't want to fit inside of that badge. If we make it like really wide like this. Look, see how it's changing it? It's changing it. What are we gonna do? Well, let me tell you what you could do. Let's just delete that turkey. Let's add a different shape, because we want a rectangle. Why? Because we're weird that way. We want a rectangle. So depending on your logo, if you have a circular logo that'll fit in there, that's probably your best bet. Image, Locula Media, tile, scale to fit. Locula Media, there it is. Dun dun dun. Now we have Locula Media in this deal. Now what we can do, if we don't want to put it in a situation where it is like this, because now it's just Locula Media kind of stuck there in the wide open, which is just fine. I'm gonna move my date, because my date is kind of like one of those things that I kind of, you know what, maybe what I'll do is I'll center my date. Maybe this will be a good idea. I'll center my date, and I'm gonna center my date. If you move it around, eventually you will find a center line. And so you can just add it to the dead center of your system. Just like that, dead center. Maybe that's the best place for it to be. So, as you can see, we just added a square, but it doesn't fit because I put a PNG. If you have a picture that's not a PNG, you can easily just put that on there if you want. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this picture, because it's kind of driving me insane. Don't like it. Not even at all. Not even at all do I like it. And I'm just going to delete it. So press the delete button. And now I will go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and insert a picture and Lucula Media. And I'm just going to put it over here. And I wish they had a control to where you could just leave it like the same size. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something pretty interesting. We can either leave it like it is, which I love it just the way it is, or we can add a badge behind it. And then that badge will just shine out. So if we exit the layout, there it is. See how pretty that looks? That really does look pretty. I like that. I like the look of that. That is just, to me, a very amazing piece of artwork. So we'll go back. We're going to edit the layout, and we're going to draw a line. And we're going to kind of start right here. Go straight across. And as you can see, it's at should be straight. Solid line 1 point. We're going to go 2 points. And I want it to be red. And now I can take this line, now that I have it, if I click off of it, click back on it, I can now take the line and move the whole thing anywhere I want. And if I wanted to, I could take the line and duplicate it, and then put another little back line on this other side. Or I could just draw another line if I want to, and then just line them up. Either which way, doesn't matter to me. This is our menu page. I want it to be gorgeous. I want it to be amazing. I want it to be, people look at this and say, wow, this is amazing. Next thing we need to do is we need to start building boxes. We need to start building our menu. What do we want our menu to do? That's the big question. What do we want our menu to do? So we're going to create a button. That's the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a button. It doesn't have to be big, doesn't have to be too small. You don't want it to be too small. But let's create a button. There we go. Button. There you guys go. It's a beautiful button. And we're not going to call it anything right now because we don't really care to call it anything right now. But we can call it anything you guys want to call it. Now at this point, it's critical. Is this the color pattern that we want? Do we want to encircle it with something? Do we want it to just be a lighter color? What do we want it to do? So now if we click on our button, we can actually go into our gradient scale and we can say, hey, I want to add a different gradient here, and I want to add a different gradient here. And as you can see, all I did was just click on it and it auto-filled colors. I clicked on this box right here. I clicked on this box. And don't keep clicking on it, because if you do, you're going to have like 50 different colors in there. But I wanted to give it a really nice rounded appearance, right? So what I'm going to do is the very first color I'm going to pick is I'm going to pick a really super light, kind of a yellowish color. And then I'm going to go here and I'm going to pick a next kind of up one. Let's see if I can maybe find one that's not quite as off as that color. They need to be related. You definitely want your colors to be related. I guess it maybe just needs to be a little more yellow. And then this one is the one we will actually select like a darker, not quite white. That turned out to be like the exact same white color that we have. We need it to be very tannish. Let's see if we added that tan. Nope. We're just going to keep going until we find something that we really like. I want it to be tan, but I don't want it to be overly tan. I want it to be khaki, but not overly khaki. Does that make a sense? Does that make sense to anybody? I want it to be khaki, but not overly khaki. So the color choices that we have are just so uniquely odd. There we go. That's not too bad. That's not too bad at all. I don't like the brightness of my white. And I wish I knew how to change that. So the this brightness of this yellow, if it was like a little darker of a yellow color. Turns out it's not going to be, unless we make it a really bright yellow. That really is yucky. I don't like that. It could take you a while, Jerry, if you're not really positive what color combinations you want until you actually get something. But creating your first button is kind of a big deal. So you want to make sure that it fits with your theme and that it works well with what you're doing. We can go right back to, if you're not satisfied, you can just delete it and then just create another one. Doesn't matter. And now you have a brand new button that's a little darker in color. I'm actually going to go ahead and size this one. I'm going to go ahead and use this one. Why? Because I can. Why not? And I'm going to change the color of the line that goes around it. Make it a blue color. Just kind of a pop. Just kind of pop a little bit. And now if I take this unit, one of the things that you can do with it is you can create a contrast. You can see how we just changed it just by contrasting where this little line, and I'm just grabbing it obviously with my left click mouse button. And if we go up, it'll make it much darker. If we go down, it'll make it much lighter. So it gives us the room to kind of really just play with the button. But the point I'm trying to get at is I want you to create a button that you're happy with, that you're satisfied with, that makes sense to you, because you're going to create a lot of buttons that are all the same. They're all going to be the same. So if you have any question, you can just basically grab it, press the control button, then the left click button, drag it off, let go of the control button, let go of the left click button. Now you have two of them. Now if you just draw a line through them with your left click button, you can press and hold the control button, and you can create two more of them. And then you can start creating even more of them, because you can now grab all four of them and you can press and hold your control button and you can create four more of them. So now we can put those over there. We're going to grab these. We're not going to press the control button. We're just going to move them this time. And now we have a selection of 8 of these buttons that go across our screen. This is all about you. Right now, this is all about you. What does your store need? What does your store want? Do you need a bazillion buttons for your store? That's the question. Do you need a bazillion buttons for your store? I do, however, need to move my footer up just a little bit. It is not quite where it needs to be. There we go. If you guys didn't notice, my footer was off. I was like, what? My footer was off. Okay. So now if we exit the layout, let's see what it looks like. We exit the layout. Ta-da, we have our red line. Red line looks so cool, right? We have all these buttons, but we don't have anything really going on. We don't really have anything going on. FYI, we don't really have anything going on yet. We haven't done anything cool and exciting, but we're going to. We are creating something. We're creating something really cool. So back to edit the layout. In my particular case, this page would be a page where when you first get in the store, you first get on, you get in here and you see this. What you're seeing is categories. So you have like beers and wines, candies and gums, whatever the case is. I personally have a vapor store, so there would be e-liquids, adapters, coils, chargers, batteries, all those different things are categories because I have 10 different kinds of batteries. I have 10 different kinds of chargers. I have 800 different kinds of coils. So every single one of these buttons will lead me somewhere else. It's basically just a connecting point. So this is where you start. This is where you say, hey, what is it you're looking for? Are you looking for coils? Are you looking for batteries? Well, okay, you want a battery. Which battery do you want? So it will take you from here to another page that will isolate it even farther. Will bring it out even farther. So that's how that works. I do want to grab my invoice lock, but I don't want a label on it. I know you guys can't see this, so I'm going to move it away from myself. So right here it says no labels, or you can select a label if you want to, a different path of label, but I don't want to do a label for this particular deal. And what I need is my invoice lock number. I'm going to bring it over here, and I want to make it bigger because I'm kind of all about making it bigger. So we'll go 14, and I do need it to be pretty good sized. It does need to be a pretty good size. The reason why it needs to be a pretty good size is because my invoice numbers are huge. They're usually 13 to 16 digits long, because I figure, how many invoices am I ever going to create in the lifespan of this? And so I set everything based on that. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my invoice lock, and I'm going to move it way the heck over here. Even Steven with my Luculent Media broadcasting thing. I'm going to go ahead and close that window. And now what I want to do is I want to go, what do I want to fill this with? Well, I don't want to fill it with anything. The light blue color would be just fine. Do I need a line around it? I don't need a line around it, nor do I want a line around it. And so now if we exit, we'll actually see nothing. There's absolutely nothing there. No records are present. To create a new record, you must put create new record. And notice we haven't done that yet. We haven't, in order to actually make this work, like you guys can't see the date, right? Date doesn't exist up there. Well, the date doesn't exist up there until we create that first record. We're not creating records. I don't want to confuse you guys. We're not actually creating a record. But it's like there is no record right now. There is no record. There's nothing there. So it doesn't even exist. There's not even a file for it, basically. So we have to tell it we want it to create a record, and then it will. And then everything will work. And then it never creates another record after that. It's always just going to be one. So now what we need to do is we need to finish out the rest of what we're going to do. So let's go to our edit layout. And we're going to recreate these. So if we just recreate them, we can hold a control button, bring them down. I like them all to be right around the same distance apart from each other. Let's see if it allows me to do that. I don't know why it is not doing that. That is pretty weird. So I'm going to highlight all of these, and I'm going to use my arrow keys, right? And I'm just going to go up, 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 up. What I'm looking for is usually it will tell me what the distance is between here and here. So it'll say, oh, look, this distance is the same as this distance is the same. But for some reason, right now, it is not telling me that. So I'm going to eyeball it. Okay, I think we got those pretty much the same, guys. We're going to go ahead and we're going to grab another one. From way up there, we'll get it straight in line. Up, there we go. And we will do one more for the bottom. Oop, why did I just do that? I pressed and held the control button while I was actually moving it. Kind of weird of me. Okay, I think that's probably enough for that. That's a lot of buttons. We have 8 of them across by 6 of them down. Oh, that's a lot of buttons, right? We don't need that many buttons, that's for sure. We don't need that many buttons, that is for sure. So we can dress them up. We can delete some of them if we want to. We can create whatever we want to. In my particular case, I believe I'm going to erase these buttons. So I'm just going to highlight them and press delete. And now they're gone. Not there anymore. These buttons on the bottom, for 4 of them, because these 4 are very special buttons, we're going to create them in a solid color. And the color that I'm going to pick is going to be let's do blue. Let's do a dark blue. Dark blue. I wish it slightly darker would be nice, actually. Darker blue. Ta-da! Darker blue. That looks good. I like that darker blue. So the very first one we're going to click on, we will write the word invoice. Invoice. And as you can see, you guys can't see it. It's like really yucky, right? And we're going to tell it, just do nothing. We don't care. We don't want it to do anything right now. But we do want to change the style. We want to change the style of the writing. So we're going to do Bookman Old Style. I'm going to do an 18. And now is when you guys will see it. If I hit yellow, it lights it right up. And I can make it bold. Bold, but bold doesn't look right, does it? Doesn't look right. Let's go with a 24. 24 looks good. 24 looks good. Nice yellow 24. Okay. So now we remembered Bookman Old Style 24 yellow. This one we'll say menu. Because we want it to take us back to the menu. So we just clicked off of it. Click back onto our button. We'll go to Bookman Old Style, right? That was it, Bookman Old Style. We did 24, and we picked a yellow color. Was it that same yellow color? What do you guys think? I don't think so. I think it was one down. There we go. So now you can see how we've made them so much nicer. So much nicer, crisper, clean. That contrast really adds to the beauty of what we're actually doing and the simplicity of what we're doing. So let's say that for purposes unknown to myself, that you want to isolate these buttons in some way, shape, or form. You want them to be different. Not these ones that we just colored in, but other ones. You have a row of buttons that are different than the other buttons. So like these are different than the other buttons because they are different than the other buttons. And they're going to be highly different than the other buttons. But you can select them all by left clicking on them, and you can either change the color of them or you can change the color of the line that goes around them. So you can add a deep purple line and you can change it from 1 to 2. So you can make it thicker. Like these, we can change it to 2. Because you guys just saw what it looked like before. That's what it looks like after. Changing it to 2 really makes those buttons pop. Really makes them, it brings them out, makes them look really super cool. And you can change, like I said, you can change the color of all of them. So with these, I'm going to go ahead and leave them at 2. I'm going to go ahead and leave this at 2. I'm not sure if I want to... if I want it to be that bright of a blue. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab these And I'm going to make them a darker color blue. Like almost black color. So now they really just kind of pop off of the page. They look really super cool. They look really super cool. At least on my screen, they look cool. I don't know how they're coming across on YouTube, but they look really cool. My screen. Now, if you wanted to, you could add boxes on the top as well. So, if I wanted to go, I wanted to do something else. I wanted to switch registers, or I wanted to log in different, or whatever. You can add all kinds of cool things up here as well. We're not going to add any of that stuff up there because we don't need it to be added up there. But one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to quick grab my field picker so you guys can see it. I'm going to go ahead and move my inspector back out of the way, hopefully in a position where you guys can see it, because I take up a lot of space right here. I take up a lot of space. I'm always moving. You guys are always, complaining. Tim, what the heck are you doing? Okay, so we're going to add the invoice lock button, which we have at the top. So we're going to go ahead and put the security box, or the product code. We're going to put the product code on the bottom. We're going to make it big. We're going to line it up way over here. Now, we can either leave it as white, which you guys should know I'm so totally not going to do that. So none and none on the line. And then we can always have it the Tahoma 12, it doesn't matter. What will appear in there will appear in there briefly, momentarily, momento, seriously. Just tiny things, tiny things. The other two things that we need is the security box and the quantity box. So the quantity box kind of needs to be in a position where it is widely available. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to move it over here. And I'm going to make it, I don't really like that. So we're going to do that Bookman old style. I'm going to go ahead and make it 24 because I'm a big 24 fan. And I'm going to make it center because I'm a big center fan. And now what I need to do is I need to line it up. So now it's like the same size, right? It's like the same size. And then I'm going to leave it just like that, except for I'm going to take away any of its background and or its line. So I don't want it to have any background, and I don't want it to have a line around it either. I just want it to be open. And right now, when it prints a number or it prints something in there, it is going to print it in blue. I don't really want blue. I want a dark color. And so we'll call that good. But now what we need to do is we do need to add the word quantity. So if we just we do our little text, we type it, we're just going to write quantity. Click off of that. I'm going to go back in, do a Bookman old style, because that is like one of my all-time favorites. I'm going to go to an 18. I want it to be a beautiful dark color. And now what I can do with that is I can use my, and click off of it, click back on it. I can use my directional arrow keys to get it exactly in the center and lower it. So now if we exit our layout, as you can see, you see the word quantity, but you can't see anything underneath of it. And you click on, if you were to create a record, then it would fix it. And so, but we don't want to do that right now. We don't want to do that right now. So refrain from, Tim, refrain from jumping ahead. Refrain from jumping ahead. Yes, let's refrain from jumping ahead. Let's not move too awful fast. I may consider putting that little red line over here because I like the little red line. The little red line is pretty cool. But I do want to go to this invoice lock really fast. So click on the invoice lock, go to our inspector, and I want to go into the data section of it. Because right now it's available in browse mode, and I do not want it to be available in browse mode. I don't want anyone to be able to change it at all for any reason, period. I can also go down and select, at this point, our box that we put in the bottom, the product code. We also do not want that box available in browse mode either. What that means is I am the cashier, and I've got the POS system, the point of sale, and if I touch that, or that area where the invoice lock is, ta-da, right, I can change it. I can make changes to it. Well, I don't want that to happen. I don't want anyone to be able to make changes to that. That's an invoice lock. What that does is that guarantees that when I go back, if I come to this page and I go back to my invoice, that will be the invoice I go to. And this product code, we don't want anyone messing with it because it's a critical part of a script. So we really need to have it there. We don't want it to go anywhere. We don't want it to change at all. We want it just the way it is. So at this point, we've already went ahead and we've made sure that now the two big boxes, the invoice and the product codes, cannot be changed. Now, we do have a security box, and the security box is something that can change, right? Because we're going to need it to be able to change. Security box, change. But we now have to figure out, what do we want the security box? Where do we want to put it, right? So I'm going to grab the security box, and I'm just going to kind of pull it over here. We're going to go ahead and do our Bookman Old Style 24 dark print, because that's just who we are. Dark print. Okay. But I do want it to be the same size as the other box. It fits perfectly. That's so crazy. I don't know what's the matter with it. But, okay, so we did make it. And now I do want to make sure the security box will make sense later. I guarantee it. It will make sense later. I'm going to move it like all the way over here because I don't like right where it was there for a second. But I do want it to be equal in height as the other one. So now if we use our directional keys and we go up and down, unfortunately I'm going to have to close this. Okay, so click back on it. If we go up and down, you'll see that it'll start to show you little lines of, is everything lined up together? And so that's kind of the nice thing. I do like that part about it. It is going to be available in browse mode, but now we need to go to our appearance quick, and we don't want it to have any color. Other than, if we want to, we can always have the line around it. The line may be effective. I don't know. Let's find out. Let's find out what it would look like with the line around it. So there's the line. Should we add the line around the quantity box? You know, that might just make sense. That might actually make it look better if we did that. So we'll just go ahead and we will add our line. Solid. So now the line is actually there. And what I did was, in this little gray line, it actually gives you an ability to make changes, certain changes. Not very many, but certain changes. Because it's there, and so I was actually able to do that. I'm going to go ahead and do this. And I'm going to type in the word admin. And I do want it to be Bookman old style because I like to keep everything close to the same if I can. I think 18. Oh, here I'm selecting all this stuff and I didn't do anything. I forgot. You actually have to click off of it for it to work. 18. And we're going to go ahead and put the admin directly in the center of this box. Maybe if it'll let us do it. Turkey. Might have to bring it up off the box. There we go. Now it let us do it. Now we can go down until it is equal with the rest of it. But the color of the line is incorrect. I want it to be this dark color. The color of the word is incorrect. Now we can have admin or administrator or whatever you want. It doesn't necessarily just have to say admin. It can be administrator. And we're going to use this box for a couple of different things, which is really super cool. And you guys are really super like that. I think I will make it administrator. Administratory. Okay, so now if I just click off of it, I can then use my directional keys and I can get it dead in the center. Dead in the center. Now, at this point, you can add pictures. If you have pictures of your products that you want to add here and there, you just kind of lighten it up and make it look really cool. You can obviously do that. That would be like no big deal. It would be something that would be easy enough to do. One of these other buttons that we haven't done yet is the exit button. That is a button that will automatically take you you can either take you out of the program or take you to a specific place to log out. So we will go ahead and we will add the exit button, and we will go ahead and do the, as you guys just follow me as close as you possibly can. I would really appreciate if you would follow me as close as you can. Just in the sense that by doing so, it has given you will be able to build this yourself, and you'll be able to be like, wow. And so later on when I'm saying something, and I'll be like, oh, and we have to put this on the product code, and we have to do this, and we have to put this this code in this box. All your boxes will be the same as mine. I don't care if you make them if you have them in a different location, or if you've made your style different than mine. That's fine. You can have whatever your heart desires in that sense, but do try to keep all of your tables and all of your fields the same as mine, so that when we do get into those, and obviously the scripts, when we do get into those, you guys will easily be able to recognize them and say, this is what it is, and it will work perfectly for you and me alike. And so also when you ask me questions in the chat, you can say, Tim, this box, blah, blah, blah. And I will be able to answer that question for you very quickly. But this is the basis of our system, and obviously this is a template. We're going to create more of these, and we're going to create lots more of them. But for now, this is our beginning. This is our opening. We are going to make some changes next week, and as we get the opportunity to do more and more and more on this. Like I said, it should take about 3 months to go through the entire process, but you guys will see and you will witness absolutely every single stage, every single part of it. And when we're done, I hope you will be as proud of it as I am. One thing that you can do is you can grab like this line, and like I said, I'm obviously going to change it a lot. Let's see. Way down here. Get out of there, turkey. It's like crooked. I don't know why, but it is. It's crooked. So we will get it straight. Cool thing about this is it'll actually tell you when it's straight. It'll be like, you're straight, it's straight. So now that it is straight, I can bring it over here. It's still too long though. Just give me a thing. There we go. Now it should be correct. We'll make it even Steven with the other one. And bring it out to the edge. And I wonder if I just typed in 125. Oop, 125, 0, that's fun. That's funny. If it'll make it longer. It did make it longer. Sweet. It's exactly what I wanted. I wanted it to be a little bit longer so that it fits correctly. So that it looks like it's a part of the system. Looks like a part of the system. And now if we exit the layout, ta-da! There it is. It's beautiful, right? You can add a red line to the bottom. I'm showing you how to make your point of sale first and foremost gorgeous. And what we're going to do is we're going to set this up so that it can be used as a template for all your other pages that are coming after this. And you're going to need a lot of them if you have any products at all in your store. I mean, anything other than soda pop. Believe it or not, you're going to go through these like crazy. So we're going to set this up. This is where we're at. These over here are going to be some hotkeys that we're going to create that will automatically take you to certain places that are of your choosing, so they can go absolutely anywhere. And we're also going to kind of set them up as like one thing that I have in my store is there's a lot of people that come in and they want something very specific. So the products that I sell the absolute most of, I have a friend of mine who owns a store, and the product he sells the most of is a can of soda. He sells cans of sodas, like hundreds of them all day long, and especially through the summertime. So he wanted a button, so he didn't have to go anywhere. All he wanted was a button, so he could just press that button. It would instantly charge for a can of soda, and he was done and didn't have to mess with anything else. So it works out beautifully for him. So let me know in the chat below, or let me know in the messages below, what you want to see, what works for your store, or what you want to see for your store, because I can add those into my system. But I just want you to know, this is something that I will be using in my own store. And I will be, the name of my store is not Luculent Media, but Luculent Media is a company that I do own. And it does have a cool logo, so we're just going to leave it Luculent Media. But anyway, until next time, I want you guys to be good to each other. Make sure that you guys write in the comments below and let me know what's going on. How can I improve this show? What can I do to help you more? Because that's the whole purpose of this. I could care less if there is 1 million subscribers. If I can help one of you, that's a big thing to me, and that's what I'm here for. So anyway, until the next time, I hope you guys stay safe, be good, and we will see you guys on the next show. Luculent Media obviously is getting ready to do a show pretty quick. So until then, until next time, you guys, we will see you later. Bye.